Okay, we're at noon. So thank you so much to everyone for logging on to today's webinar. My name is Ava Weston, Economic and Workforce Development Specialist with the Placer Business Resource Center. Welcome to our webinar in partnership with SDIT Support on Information Technology and Cybersecurity. Next slide, please. So just a quick overview of today's agenda. First, myself and my colleague Daniela will be providing a brief overview of the Placer Business Resource Center, or PBRC, and the services that we offer. Then we're going to turn it over to SCIT support to dive into our content for today, and then we're going to wrap up with a Q&A. All right, so before we dive into hearing from SD, we wanted to provide a brief overview of who we are and what we offer to the public. So we're our first great point of contact for anybody that's conducting business in Placer County, and we want to give you an idea of the role that we play so that you can walk away today knowing that we are a resource that's available to you at all times. So a little bit about us. Again, we're PBRC for short, or Placer Business Resource Center. We're a program run out of the Placer County Office of Economic Development. We're here to support small businesses and get them connected with resources that they need to get started, to succeed, and to grow. We offer a range of different services. All of them are free. They include webinars like this one today, one-on-one advising, and hiring assistance through our Business Advantage Network, as well as navigating the world of licensing and permitting. So we're currently open for virtual appointments Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. We are available for walk-ins at our Rockland office on Wednesdays, so at 1000 Sunset Boulevard, and we are closed on Fridays. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Daniela to talk more about some of the resources that we can get you connected with.
Yes, thanks, Ava. And if you guys didn't know, it is Wednesday, so we are here until 4 o'clock if you want to swing by. So I'll go over a few resources that we have. It's not a comprehensive list, but we have 3 sides here, and then I'll do a brief introduction to each one. But please feel free to reach out to us if you have additional questions. And the resources are going to depend on each business idea and whatever it is and what questions you have. So we'll tailor it more to your experience and what business you bring to us. So business assistance. So we have small business development centers, SBDCs for short. The one that we work with a lot is CRSBDC, and they provide free advising. They have webinars and events online as well, and sometimes in person, but they are great. So they can walk you through as a business more thoroughly and into the business process, business license, permitting, things like that, and point you in the right places as well as towards funding and how to do marketing. And they're just a great next step after you talk to the Placer Business Resource Center. We also have our chambers of commerce. There's one for each city here in Placer County. There's also ones for veterans, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, all kinds of things. So reach out to your chambers of commerce if you want additional networking opportunities or events or anything like that. And then we have SCORE, similar to SBDC. SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives. They provide mentoring as well and have events and recorded webinars online. They're great because they also have executives, managers types who've retired and want to share their knowledge base with everyone. So they're really cool to work with too. And then the Small Business Administration, that is the more federal entity, and they have great resources online too. So for trainings and workshops, well, you're here today, so the Placer Business Resource Center. Then we have our small business development centers, like I mentioned, and the SCORE as well. And then SBA has a learning center online too. And then they have a 10-step business guide, which is almost like a checklist that you can go through. And if you're not really sure where to start or go and you need the next step, then that's a really cool guide you can find online too. All right, so the next slide. So licensing and permitting. So depending on where you are, you'll get a business license through either the city or if you're operating in Placer County, just in general, you need a business license through either the city or the county's treasurer tax collector. So for those operating in unincorporated Placer County, you'll be the treasurer tax collector. Within city limits, you'll go through the city. fictitious business name. So depending on what business name you have, you'll go through the county clerk recorder's office for that. And we have some of these previous recorded webinars on our website. So if you're not sure how to do these kind of things, go to our website and it shows like how to do the steps by steps. And then you'll have a contact there too in the office. So Sherry is the county clerk recorder's office, and she walks it through really nicely. We can reach out to her if you need. And then permits, we have the Kyle Gold permit tool online, which is free to use for anybody. You'll put in like your business type and then where you're located, and it populates a list of potential business permits and things like that. But always check with your local agencies, whether it's the county or the cities, if there's anything additional. And sometimes you might not need something specific. So yeah, reach out to us and we'll kind of walk you through a little bit more. And if you're a food business, you go through the environmental health. If you're doing like cottage foods or other kinds of things, they'll help you with that, because they also do the food inspections of like restaurants and mobile food facilities, like food trucks and things along that nature. From a general resource perspective, we have NorCal Entrepreneur Club, which is resources online, the Entrepreneur Development Group through the Roseville Area Chamber, which is really cool because it was like a group of like 15 people in a room talking about what kind of concerns they have, issues, and then it was just a brainstorm session. And it's also networking, so you can meet other people within like the Roseville network. And then Growth Factory in Roseville Venture Lab, all entrepreneur focused locations. And we have a really good network here in Placer County to really help entrepreneurs rise up. So last slide is funding. So we do get quite a bit of questions about our funding. So SBDC, the Small Business Development Centers, they have a finance center so you can connect to advisors, and then an online tool called Fundica. And you just spend a few minutes online, sign up, it's free to use, and then you have this inventory of government grants and loans at your disposal. So a really cool tool. The California Office of Small Business Advocate also has a grant funding page online and other resources too. There's no active grants that I'm aware of right now, but you can always check back and see if there's any updates to that. Then SBA has loans as well. And then we did a webinar a few weeks ago where the presenter spoke about SBA loans. So if you want to take a look at that one, might be a little bit more helpful. And then the California Small Business Loan Match tool online for you to find if you're interested in loans. And from a hiring workforce, we have our Placer County Business Advantage Network, and then Golden Sea, our job training agency. So they have all kinds of events geared towards connecting workforce employers and job seekers. So job fair, job connection events, things along those nature. So if you're looking for employees or looking for your job yourself, feel free to reach out to them. And if you need a contact, Ava and I can connect you as well. All right. So next webinar that we have on October 8th, we'll actually get to hear from a business owner who is in the food service industry, and it's William Red Johnson. So if you've ever been to Red's Pizzeria and Tap House or Yummy Poke in Rockland, he's the owner of that business. So he wants to share his story of being a veteran to owning 2 businesses. Well, technically 3. He might touch on that, but it's a really cool story. So join us for that. Same time, noon to 12:45 on October 8th. And all of our recordings are posted on our website. So if you miss it, no worries. You'll be able to see it later on. And then feel free to stay connected with us. Our phone number and email are online or on that screen. And then we have a LinkedIn, so it's Placer for Business. And we also have a Facebook and Instagram called Placer Business Resource Center if you want to keep up on the latest economic development news. And then, so we have some QR codes here. So just let us know, if there's a specific webinar you think you'd be interested in seeing, or a good group of people would be interested in seeing, let us know. Scan that QR code, and it's like a 5-question survey, very fast. And then we'll take a look at the results and see what we'll do later on. And then we also have a newsletter. So if you want to get a monthly newsletter, sometimes it's 2 months or so, 2 times a month, but we don't want to spam you guys. So you can hear all about like different grant funding, events happening within the county, and just really great information that you can share with others as well. So Now we're going to go to Dennis. I want to say Crone Jr., and I think he's the president and co-founder. I'll just read a quick little bio here. So if you're struggling to get on top of your IT, or if you want to thrive and not sure how, Dennis can certainly help you. Dennis has a wealth of business and IT experience, starting his first IT job working with his father at 15. Dennis is your go-to guy for jargon-free IT advice and guidance, from cybersecurity to IT infrastructure. He can help you. So I am now going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll let Dennis pop on the screen and take it from there.
All right, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna request access to share my screen here. And let me start this first slide. Start on here. Sorry about that. There it is. Okay, let me pull up the. All right, can you guys see that? Can you see the first page there? It says cybersecurity and business.
We can see like the presenter mode.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Let me switch the screen here. I've got four screens, so I gotta make sure I share the right one. Okay. How's that? That's better.
Yes, it's better. Thank
Okay.
you.
So first of all, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to run this webinar. Before I get started on the cybersecurity side of things, I just wanted to do a couple shout outs to what they mentioned out there. One of them is the local chambers. If you're not involved with your local chambers, I would highly suggest to connect with them. We're part of Lincoln Chamber and Roseville Chamber, and I just finished the leadership program in the Roseville Chamber, and it's phenomenal. So there's lots of resources there. They mentioned Edge, which is a phenomenal thing to connect with other business owners, business leaders, and talk about what you're struggling with, and a lot of people can help with that as well. Um, there's another thing that is coming up that they didn't mention, but Placer Valley is a huge event that happens here in Placer County, and all of the chambers connect with each other. And that will be on October 17th. And so it's going to be a great event. We have a booth there, so come by our booth, and we'd love to talk to you guys more as well. I'll go to the next screen here. Um, okay. So as they mentioned, I started very young age. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Started, my first business with my dad at like 15. So I've been at this for 30 years. I co-founded SDIT Support with my business partner in 2013. So we've been in business for almost 13 years. Um, and so super excited about, what we can do going forward on that side of things. Specialize in technology as a whole, but technology has changed so much over the last 5 years, and the way that things are going. And then in my personal life, here's a picture of my family. I coach a travel baseball team, so needless to say, I stay pretty busy. So in running the business as well. Um, why this matters, cyber attacks target all kinds of businesses, small enterprise, government, all kinds of different sizes. 43% of attacks hit small and mid-sized companies, and the average breach cost is about $4 million, which is just crazy. Here's an agenda of what we're going to be talking about today, is the threat landscape as a whole, and employee risks, and where we can kind of help with that. a quick interactive exercise if anybody has anything that they have going on with, that they've dealt with in the past. Impact on your leadership and some practical safeguards, and then just a roadmap with a Q&A at the end. Daniel, if there's any questions, if I saw something pop up and I didn't really look at the chat because I'm trying to focus on the screen, just let me know and I can we can get to that at the end.
Yeah, no worries. It was just me placing the link of Placer Valley 2025 in the chat.
Okay, all right. Oh, sweet. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, So the evolving threats is obviously fast-growing crime globally. Hackers are organized and profit-driven. It's not just the kids and the things that you kind of think that they are with their hoods on and in their kids in their parents' basements. They're paid companies that are targeting small businesses because they know you guys are easy targets. Who gets targeted? Small, mid-sized businesses, professional services, local governments and schools, and obviously healthcare and retail. I mentioned a lot of those in my previous slide, but those are some of the targets. Um, Common attack types are phishing, which I'll go into a little bit more detail here in a little bit. It's usually attacked via an email, a text, or a phone call. There was a big phone call one for the MGM Grand a couple years ago where they pretended to be, the IT department, and there was a huge breach over there because of that. Ransomware. Ransomware is where they, lock up your data and you have to pay a ransom to get it back. And then one of the most common ones that we're seeing now is a business email compromise, which means that someone normally gets a phishing email, types in their username and password thinking that it's the right place to go. And then next thing you know, the bad guys have the keys to the kingdom, especially if that person is an admin, and that becomes a real problem. And then obviously insider risks, intentional and accidental. Accidental will be clicking on something. Intentional is, they're not happy with their employer and they're trying to sabotage something. So, but that doesn't happen that often. Um, Here's an example of a phishing email. So if you look real closely, the Microsoft logo on the left, it doesn't match what the real Microsoft is over on the right. So, you'll get these emails that say your password is expired or go log into your Microsoft because I'm sharing a SharePoint file with you guys. And what we do with our clients is we put on the login screen a background of like their logo or something on their website so that they know when they go to log in, it's them and it's their website, it's their email that they're going to change versus being compromised. It looks, and they're making it look really, really, uh, you know, easy, and it looks like you're actually going to the Microsoft website, but it's just really, these guys are getting really good at this stuff. Um, Here's some quick real world stories. I just looked up in California. This one was last year. It was on a California hospital. It was I think it was in Watsonville. And then this one was the Patelco Credit Union, and that was last year as well. Ransomware isn't as common as the phishing attacks as it was before. You'll hear the big ransomwares like the hospitals, the energy companies, the big pipeline one that happened, I think it was a year or two ago. But yeah, it still is there. But ransomware, what it will do is it will encrypt your files so that if you want to get your files back, you have to go contact the hacker and they're sending you some Bitcoin to send or something like that. But hopefully, if it does get to the point where you're getting ransom, that your current IT provider has a backup that won't be able to get ransom. If you have like the old school way of backing up like to an external hard drive, those things usually can get compromised as well. So it's better to have a backup solution, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Cost of cybercrime. So obviously there's a direct financial loss. There's downtime, lost productivity. recovering expenses. You know, there's just a lot of things that go into being compromised. And then obviously compliance and legal risks. So like if you are, dealing with medical or PHI, patient health information, you have to abide by HIPAA. And then obviously there's some financial ones that are you have to abide to if you're a like certified planner or anything like that. There's obviously different compliance things that you have to have for that as well. Liability and lawsuits and obviously fines that come along with the whole process of being compromised. This is a big one as your reputation is damaged because, especially if your business email is compromised and you're starting to send out emails to all your people that you know, and then your email list is compromised and they have now lost the trust of you guys from a customer standpoint. And then obviously negative media coverage, if it does get out, then your reputation is hard to rebuild when it comes to that. Business continuity is really important. So questions I ask my clients is, how long could you be down? Do you have a plan B if you do have any kind of compromise? Um, Leaders, this is where I'm kind of talking to you. It's not just the IT job. It's a business-wide responsibility. So the culture starts at the top, meaning embrace that secure mentality and unfortunately when you're talking about security usually it's not the most convenient thing. So I have those client conversations with our clients all the time, and security is going to slow you down, but it's going to protect you and mitigate the risk. Uh, I talk to our clients about something I call the human firewall. It's the employees. It's the first line of defense. 88% of breaches involve some sort of human error. Like we said before, sometimes it's intentional. Most of the time, it's accidental clicking on something, not educating. So we do a lot of proactive security awareness training with our clients, little videos here and there, phishing campaigns to try to not to catch them, but just to educate them. And if they do get caught, it shows a little video and shows them how to prevent that in the future. Um, Password risk, that everybody loves their passwords and, they like to add a one on the end or an exclamation and think they're protected. Weak passwords are definitely a thing of the past. They're a real easy target. If you get compromised or if something, or even any other vendor gets compromised, like, I mean, they're being compromised all the time, but if you're on a list, like I was just meeting with a prospect yesterday, and they were on a list of parkmobile.com. And when they were compromised, their passwords that they were using on that website are now on what we call the dark web, where the bad hackers have access to that information. So it's better just to use passphrases and then obviously MFA, multi-factor authentication. Here's an example of multi-factor. So you usually have something on your phone that you get a code and then you can approve the sign in. It's just really another layer of security. I know it's kind of a pain, but it's a much needed thing to make sure that you're secure and logging into your systems securely. Public Wi-Fi networks, it's really not the best idea to go on a public Wi-Fi network with at least a VPN on your computer. So a virtual private network, because basically what it does is it creates a wall between you and the public Wi-Fi network and what you're doing on your computer. Really, the best way is to, set up a mobile hotspot on your phone, and then you're dedicated to that device so you can be isolated to that device. So it's just a lot more secure that way. Device security, lock screens, obviously don't mix your personal and work devices. That sometimes that's a tough thing when you're putting, different apps on your personal device. But as long as you're not doing, your personal stuff on your work computer, or if it's not confidential, then that's the best way, not to get compromised on your work devices through a personal login. And then obviously lock your screens when you walk away. That's just a kind of a simple, easy task to do. As I mentioned before, awareness and training ongoing, not just one time. So one thing we like to do is we send like a weekly training. It's about 2 to 3 minutes for them just to view and make it a little bit engaging, not so boring. Um, you are guaranteed, I mean, you are required to do a security awareness training on a annual basis to be approved for cyber insurance, which is a whole nother conversation that comes later. But I'm actually doing an event at the Roosevelt Venture Lab next month on a similar presentation, but I'm inviting a cyber insurance CEO to come and discuss all the options and different things that are coming to the table for cyber insurance and what that is. Um, Cybersecurity on a budget, it doesn't always require a huge IT spend. There are some small steps that you can make a big impact, so you can work with your current IT provider to get those handled. MFA being one of them. It's free. Just go do it, and then you're more secure. As I mentioned earlier regarding backups, the best way to do backups from our point of view is a 3-2-1 backup. So usually like three backup copies, two on different media types. So one could be like on an offsite, or one could be on another backup server, and then obviously stored offsite. So if we have a situation like we had. In Forest Hill a few years back, we had a client up there that their building almost burned down, but we were ready for it because we had their whole backup off-site and prepared to spin on site if that building burned down. But God willing that it didn't happen. So, but we were ready to do that. So just having working with your current provider and having a 3-2-1 backup rule is just the best way to take care of that. Another thing that we do with our clients is we do updates and patching. So make sure you're working with your current provider to keep all your systems current. Many breaches exploit old software and old hardware. So just make sure that you're doing those updates consistently. And then I have another slide that kind of continues, which is a kind of a big deal. Windows 10 is being end of life on October 14th, which is less than a month away. So what that means to you is that if you have Windows 10 and you aren't upgrading to Windows 11, you will be vulnerable to your patching will not be that you will not be able to do Microsoft patches unless you pay for their patching program, and it's really just to get you through the timing on them end of lifing. This has been announced for over a year, so your current IT provider should be having those conversations with you a long time ago. But there's still time to take care of it. So the solution would be either to upgrade to Windows 11 if the hardware allows it, or you have to buy a new computer with Windows 11 on it. Passwords in MFA, I talked about that a little bit. Multi-factor stops most attacks. We use on all of our managed clients a password manager. So it will generate passwords. It will allow for you to share your passwords with a group. So like an accounting group could have a password group. And if you change those passwords, it's changed for everybody else. Highly, highly, highly recommend password managers. Most of the time, I don't even know the passwords anymore for any of my personal stuff, my clients. It's all random generated passwords because it's just easier. Well, it's not easier because it's more secure, but it's way more secure and highly unlikely you're going to be compromised. Another thing when it comes to passwords, what we do for our clients is we rotate certain admin passwords daily. So you can talk to your current provider about that. It's highly recommended because if your 365 admin account gets compromised and they have the keys to the kingdom and they can do whatever they want. Also, when it comes to an admin on 365, highly suggest having just one admin and never an end user being an admin, whether or not it's the owner or whatever. Create an account if you don't have an IT provider that's not yourself, to keep you away from being compromised. We also do monitoring alerts so we know when something's wrong. We're detecting it early. It saves time and money when it comes to that. That's how our clients interact with us. Um, Incident response. So really just like know who to call. So if something like a breach happens, what is your plan? Who to call? What to do first? All the different things that you need to know when something like that happens. So you should have an incident response plan, and when you do get cyber insurance, that's required. So kind of going back over the leadership side of things, just make sure your data backups are a 3-2-1 backup. You're working with your provider to make sure that you're taking care of that. You have your policies and procedures in place for all the different security things, you know, uh, using your home devices in the office. Make sure you have a policy and procedure for that, and the different insurance and compliance that you guys are required to have from a leadership standpoint. And then for employees is just spotting those scams, really embracing strong passwords and MFA, and then safe Wi-Fi and device habits. That really helps with you as the employee, embracing what the leadership is bringing to the secure way of doing things in your environment. Um, so building a security culture from a leadership standpoint, maybe reward for awareness. So, make it fun if, you're doing your security awareness training on a consistent basis. We have a score system that we keep track of, that it's kind of like a credit score. And every time they do more training, their score goes up. So, maybe do something fun like someone for the quarter, if they have the highest score, they get a gift card to, Pete's Coffee or, some restaurant, do something fun like that. And then make it part of your daily work that just think about security first. Spot the phishing emails, which email is fake, look for other red flags. Um, some red flags are, looking at the sender. If it's, some weird Gmail account or some weird long email account, it's probably not real, even though it says it's your boss's name. Um, we've had that happen many times. And our clients will actually call or email us and say, hey, does this look legit? And we'll be like, no, that's a phishing attack. I appreciate you guys letting us know, and it's really awesome that you're bringing that to our attention. One thing I wanted to kind of open up for question before I end is, is there anybody that would be willing to share? And it doesn't have to be, crazy, but any kind of cyber risk that you've seen at work. Or it could be even that, you open an email and, and if nobody wants to say anything, that's cool too. But I just wanted to give like a minute just to see if anybody was willing to share.
Yeah, feel free to pop it in the chat or raise your hand if you're comfortable. And then if you raise your hand, we'll take you off of mute. So you can do that. But just to give people a minute here, I've seen like in emails, like they're just off, like the email is off. Even if it says a name, the email will be totally like the actual email itself is really weird, or like that like things are spelt differently or it's the wrong logo. I've seen those kind of things myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super common. All right, cool. We'll move on. Uh, So quick wins to do tomorrow is just like enable MFA everywhere. Anywhere that is, especially your email, especially your kind of accounting systems, stuff like that. You can run a phishing awareness test. You can find them free on the web, but you can also connect with your IT provider and get that going as well. And then obviously back up your critical files on that 3-2-1 backup schedule. Longer term steps is, just work on that regular training with your staff and with your management. And then obviously partner with an IT provider. There's a ton of us out there. There's lots of people with you know, um, uh, lots of information that we can bring to you guys. Lots of history that we bring along with what we've seen over the many years. And then a layered defense approach. Make sure that you have, with our clients, we just kind of layer, different options to protect them from being compromised. But definitely talk to your current IT provider regarding that. An ongoing commitment. Cybersecurity is never done. It's honestly like, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years and I learn something every week. And, I would consider myself a professional and, especially with, I don't have any slides on it in this, but with AI coming and, it's going to be the hugest boom since, the previous tech boom. Um, Everybody and their mother is going to be trying to get involved in the AI side, and just having a AI security approach is going to be your number one thing that you need to work with your IT provider on. And then just continuous improvement overall. So recap of today, key takeaways would be your leaders just work on a strategy and protect everybody. Employees just work on your everyday habits, using those password management tools, making sure you're using MFA every day, everything that you do on a daily basis, reading emails very carefully. And then everyone obviously just having a full culture of awareness when it comes to security. Um, Again, like I said in the very beginning, security is not going to be convenient, but it is guaranteed to keep your risk down if you are more secure in your environment. And final thought is cybersecurity isn't really an IT cost, it's a business investment. That's how I explain it. It's kind of having like business insurance, or even when we're driving around in our cars, we have auto insurance. Most of us aren't wrecking into cars all the time, but we pay for that auto insurance every single month. But cybersecurity is the same thing, is it's an investment to keep it so your risk is down and that so you don't get compromised in the end. And here's my contact info if anybody wants to reach out to me direct. There's my website, there's my email. Um, Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I didn't put my link on there, but yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. Even if you want to just talk or have coffee sometime, I mean, I'd love to talk about this stuff and help businesses stay secure in this day and age. And obviously, if there's any questions or comments that we want to bring up right now, that this is the time for that as well.
Thank you, Dennis. So yeah, like Dennis said, feel free to let him know the question. So if you have anything, put in the chat, raise your hand, then we'll put you or take you off of mute. And don't be shy. And then yeah, we'll also record this. We're recording this right now, but we'll cut out any of the Q&A, so you feel free to say whatever you'd like. And yeah, we'll just give it a minute or two. And then there's a Q&A function too, is at the bottom. I haven't seen anyone raise their hands or put any Q&As in, but we'll give it one more minute.
And while we're waiting, like I know she put the link in for Placer Valley. It's a really great event. Lots of local businesses to support there. It's hosted at Bayside Blue Oaks in Roseville. It's a fantastic event. It'll be our third year going there with a booth. Highly suggest it, and definitely get connected with the county on all the different opportunities that are there from a small business point of view as well.
Yeah, and our team will be there too, Dennis. So you'll
Yeah,
see a good
awesome.
showing from us there as we are the presenting sponsor. So we'll have a booth as well.
Great.
But yeah, it's a great event. So thank you for plugging it too. I can't believe I missed that.
That's okay.
All right, so no questions right now. So we'll go ahead and wrap up the webinar right now. Thank you, Dennis, for speaking to us today, and for Mario for setting it up. And we'll get it downloaded to our cloud and then uploaded on our website, hopefully soon. And then yeah, feel free to reach out to any one of us for any questions.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.